So, actually, I'm going to make a recording of the lecture because some of the students are having difficulties with attending the lectures, as well as there is an announcement, a little announcement from myself that probably some of you are being participated the lecture on Tuesday, but there is no lectures on Tuesday anymore. So only on Monday, right? So that is the reason why I'm going to record it. So we can share the lecture with those who cannot attend it on Monday, right? So I hope you're doing fine. Okay, so many people are entering. Let us wait 5 minutes so that everyone can come in. Right. Hello, teacher. Couldn't join the lecture. She has some technical problems. Yeah, I do understand that you guys are, some of you guys are having some problems. So one of the reasons why I'm recording it, so that you can rewatch it when you are able to do it and be prepared for the seminars, right? All right. So is this possible that I, no, okay. Let us wait. Can you see the screen? Can you see the PowerPoint presentation?
No, it's teacher.
Okay, great. Okay, let us wait so everyone joins the lecture. I think there should be approximately 70 to 75 or sometimes even 80 students because of the people who are joining from the Tuesday one. Mhm. All right. So how are you doing actually? Anything new in your lives, dear students?
I think everything is okay.
All right. Well. Okay, so actually let's begin with our lecture for today. Today we are going to discuss a very interesting topic. It's all about etymology. It is about history of English somehow. So I think you will be, you will not be bored during the lecture. Yeah. So what do you think, guys, when you hear the word etymology? What do you think about etymology of
All about
English?
I think it's like all about the origin of words. And I guess if we are talking about English, we're going to talk about the relation of English and Germanic words, right? Maybe French, Latin as well. Yeah. I guess that we are going to talk about this a little bit. Maybe also about the Normannic conquest, because after they conquered the English, I mean the England, there was a huge influence of French in it.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Yep. Right, so Laura gave us some kind of introduction to the historical background of English etymology. But in your opinion, guys, what language is the most influential in English, towards English or any other European languages? Which language, which ancient language was the most influential?
Latin.
Or what languages? Latin, okay, great. Greek, Latin, yeah, absolutely correct. There are two languages, ancient languages that are quite influential, and many words came from Latin to French, and then from French to English. So it entered somehow through French. It was like a transitional thing, as Laura mentioned about nomadic influence and all that stuff. Okay, so actually today we're going to discuss somehow on what word is and why we need words, and then we will just go to the lecturing thing into the etymology of English word stock. Okay, so right, so as we know, every language has a vocabulary, and we all call it lexicon, right? As linguists, we call it, in a smart way, we call it lexicon. So what is, guys, vocabulary, and what is a word? Why do we need them? Your thoughts? What is a word, first of all? Let's discuss this very topic. What is a word?
It's the smallest unit in language that has meaning.
Smallest. Okay, are you sure that word can be the smallest unit in the language? Bayran. Yeah, was it Bayran?
Maybe it is a units of language that consist of some morphemes.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So it consists of morphemes, right? So, and why we need word? Yeah, why we need words?
In order to transmit our opinion and feelings
To
in
create
verbal way and in non-verbal way.
to create speech or writing or sentence.
Okay, great.
Make meaning for the information and the meaning.
To construct sentences.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Yeah, absolutely. Right. So, if I'm not mistaken, a young man, Baljan or Baijan, I don't remember your name, you mentioned that you have mentioned that a word is the smallest unit. As we know, there is no smallest unit in any kind of language. So, do you guys remember what is the smallest unit of the language?
Morphemes. Morphemes.
Morphemes, absolutely. Right. Right. And words are actually also a unit of a language, but they are not the most the least little one. But words have meanings, of
Maybe
course.
we
They
use
have connotations.
teacher.
Hello, yeah, Adija.
Maybe we use words in order to be able to express ourselves.
Absolutely right. Yep. The opinion that was previously shared? Anything else that you may think of why we use and why we need words? So can we, what kind of functions do words have? What kind of functions do we usually apply to words with words? So usually words are the means of communication, right?
Yeah.
So
It helps.
humanity has, yeah,
It helps to explain something.
to explain, yeah. So humanity always used the word for meaning. So not only just any kind of meaning, but meaning in context, in any kind of context. And we always used words in the communication, any kind of discourse. So according to the types of communication, we can use words for describing our thoughts, our feelings, sharing information and all that stuff. I guess you have that very lesson about communication. I don't remember when it was, in what kind of course you will be discussing the types of communication um, and and they use it, but you will be discussing it surely. Factors may influence and blah blah blah. So words are all about me, all about communication in context and all that stuff, right? Yeah. So for the next seminar, guys, I would like you to do a little research into lexical grammar thing. So that would be lovely if you just have a quick research into the term lexicogrammar, what it means, what it means to you, what your thoughts about, what are your thoughts about lexicogrammar, and etc. And you can actually refer to the book by Halliday. We'll upload it to the Moodle today. And here is the question actually. Is there anyone who is participating in the seminar right after the lectures, today's lectures?
Yes, I have at 3.
At 3, right? Anyone at 12? Mm-hmm. No, but I guess no one is here who is attending at 12, right? Okay, so actually, etymology has a lot of, let's say, benefits for linguists, because etymology helps us to trace back the history of words, how they were, how people were using them, in what ways they were using them, in what meanings. So the interesting thing that the word meat in modern English is used as for describing the animal flesh, right? Animal flesh that we use as a food, as any kind of food. But back in the old English times, that according to Halliday and Colin, the meaning for food was absolutely, so for meat was absolutely different. As you may see from the slide, it by food, people in old English era, they meant any kind, sorry, by food, God, everything is connected with food. The word meat used to refer to the general meaning for food. So any kind of food was called meat. So we have many sayings and proverbs as meat and drink. One man's meat is one man's poison. So as you may see in here, these sayings, that the word meat in those sayings does not refer to animal flesh anyhow. So it refers to food. So when you when you do understand, do translate everything in your head, those let's say those phrases in your head, you should understand that it is being talked about food and drink. One man's food is one man's poison, right? So this is quite a widespread practice that different words had different, absolutely different meaning back in old times. So the same with the word silly. Actually, in old English, in previous eras, the word used to refer to the meaning as happy, right? Even in German, we have a word selig, which is the, let's say, a translation to being blessed or blessed person. Anyone who's studying German in here? Yeah.
We're studying.
Yeah. So
Teacher.
as you may, as you may see here, so it's selig is about is it actually the word silly in English came from German. As you may see, it's a native stock, right? But back then it used to refer to adjective happy man, silly man. I don't know why it was, maybe because usually smart people are not that happy enough, right? The more you know, the worse it is for you and for your brain and for your sleep and everything. So let's be okay. So right. So actually, a vocabulary thing that homogeneous. So homogeneous means that it's not. It has both native and borrowed words, and as you may probably remember, yeah, Rosalda, hello. As you may probably remember, that mostly words in English are not English at all, right? So what is the percentage of borrowed words, guys? Do you remember that?
70.
70%, yeah, they are all borrowed words. Yay. Yeah. So, and we by borrowed words, what is borrowed words? And as sometimes we call them loan words. But actually, loan words or borrowed words are those words that were taken from different languages. In case of English, it is French, Latin, Greek, some Arab languages, and they were modified according to the patterns of English. Yeah. So any kind of borrowed words in Kazakh is the same structure, the same process. They were taken from other languages, especially Arab or Persian, yeah, and they were modified, they were assimilated to our patterns, to our pronunciation, to our grammar, to our semantics. Right? So sometimes in English, it can be very difficult to distinguish the loan words from native stock words. You can do this only with careful morphological, etymological analysis. For instance, did you know previously that the words street, face, and school, they are not English at all? Yeah, I have never known about it before I studied lexicology. So you never know. Yeah, no, Ayan says that she didn't know about it. Yeah, same. So they are actually not native English. And we're going to discuss also, we're going to talk about two terms, a source and origin of words. So source is the language where the word came from, yeah, to the receiving language, right? And the origin language is the language where the word really comes from, like originally comes from. For instance, the word table, the source of borrowing is French. Actually, French is like a bridge between English and Latin in that very sense. Like the word table entered from French to English, but to French it came from Latin. That's the vicious circle of borrowing and loan words. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, for the first, I would like us to watch a video, yeah, on YouTube. Let me. Oh God.
Load it to
No.
new Moodle.
Okay, great. Yeah, the one that is on the Moodle. Yep. Let's watch it together. Right. You ready? Steady, go. Yep.
Sorry, teacher, there is no sound. Maybe we should watch it by
No
ourselves.
sound. Okay, let me just make some. Well, after we just go to that. All right, I got it. I got it. It's the same as on Zoom. Sorry. Thank you for telling me. Okay, ready, steady, go. Can you hear it now? Yeah,
Yes.
great.
When we talk about English, we often think of it as a single language. But what do the dialects spoken in dozens of countries around the world have in common with each other, or with the writings of Chaucer? And how are any of them related to the strange words in Beowulf? The answer is that, like most languages, English has evolved through generations of speakers, undergoing major changes over time. By undoing these changes, we can trace the language from the present day back to its ancient roots. While modern English shares many similar words with Latin-derived Romance languages like French and Spanish, most of those words were not originally part of it. Instead, they started coming into the language with the Norman invasion of England in 1066. When the French-speaking Normans conquered England and became its ruling class, they brought their speech with them, adding a massive amount of French and Latin vocabulary to the English language previously spoken there. Today, we call that language Old English. This is the language of Beowulf. It probably doesn't look very familiar, but it might be more recognizable if you know some German. That's because Old English belongs to the Germanic language family, first brought to the British Isles in the 5th and 6th centuries by the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes. The Germanic dialects they spoke would become known as Anglo-Saxon. Viking invaders in the 8th to 11th centuries added more borrowings from Old Norse into the mix. It may be hard to see the roots of modern English underneath all the words borrowed from French, Latin, Old Norse, and others, but are massive sounds and certain core vocabulary. For example, after the 6th century, German words starting with P systematically shifted to a PF sound, while their Old English counterparts kept the P unchanged. In another split, words that have SK sounds in Swedish developed an SH sound in English. There are still some English words with SK, like skirt and skull, but they're direct borrowings from Old Norse that came after the SK to SH shift. These examples show us that just as the various Romance languages descended from Latin, English, Swedish, German, and many other languages descended from their own common ancestor, known as Proto-Germanic, spoken around 500 BCE. Because this historical language was never written down, we can only reconstruct it by comparing its descendants, which is possible thanks to the consistency of the changes. We can even use the same process to go back one step further and trace the origins of Proto-Germanic to a language called Proto-Indo-European, spoken about 6,000 years ago on the Pontic steppe in modern-day Ukraine and Russia. This is the reconstructed ancestor of the Indo-European family that includes nearly all languages historically spoken in Europe, as well as large parts of southern and western Asia. And though it requires a bit more work, we can find the same systematic similarities or correspondences between related words in different Indo-European branches. Comparing English with Latin, we see that English has T where Latin has D, and F where Latin has P at the start of words. Some of English's more distant relatives include Hindi, Persian, and the Celtic languages it displaced in what is now Britain. Proto-Indo-European itself descended from an even more ancient language, but unfortunately, this is as far back as historical and archaeological evidence will allow us to go. Many mysteries remain just out of reach, such as whether there might be a link between Indo-European and other major language families, and the nature of the languages spoken in Europe prior to its arrival. But the amazing fact remains that nearly 3 billion people around the world, many of whom cannot understand each other, are nevertheless speaking the same words shaped by 6,000 years of history.
Okay, guys. So, was it clear enough for you? Was the video? This is a quite nice video, isn't it? It talks about many aspects that we are all of our languages are quite interconnected. We have so much in common. Even between English and Kazakh, there are many words that sounds the same, grammatically same. Yeah, that's very interesting in that very case. If you check, yeah, someone was talking. Hello. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, right. So if you check the public's Kazakh bubble or Kazakh grammar on Instagram, you will find out funny posts about where some words in Kazakh came from. Now studying German seems a bit more interesting. Yay, yeah. And you can find out some posts about the interconnection of Kazakh and English vocabulary as well. And we of course know that Russian and English vocabularies are quite interconnected as well. They have so much in common, especially in terms of Latin and Greek borrowing, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's continue with our presentation. So, as the lecturer on TED mentioned, had mentioned, there are two elements, like native element and borrowed elements in the word stock of English. So the native element consists of three subgroups, let's call them subgroups. The first of all, Indo-European element, the second one, the Germanic element, and the third one, English proper element. So they were actually brought by Anglo-Saxons and Jutes, yeah, as it was mentioned before, right? Yeah. So this is quite a history. We're not going to dig deeper into the history of English because this is a different subject. It's not the subject of lexicology. But for a general knowledge, we should know that Germanic element and Anglo-Saxon elements are one of the most influential in the native word stock of English. And many of you who are studying German you actually can find many, let's say, similarities between German and English. Yeah. What kind of similarities have you already found, guys? Or, yeah. Guys who are studying German? Yeah. Hello.
The words are similar. For instance, like there is a German word, halten, which means like to stop, to hold something. And there is actually an English word to hold, which means also to stop.
Mm-hmm. Okay, right. Anything about grammar? Articles, yeah, absolutely articles. But thanks God English has more like easier article system. Yeah. Anything about grammar then? Maybe some kind of
There are
grammatically
also,
oriented words. Yeah, okay.
sorry for interruption. There are also three forms of verbs, like irregular verbs as well, and they also have regular verbs in English.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Right, Alina has written, how about Halstuk, which means a bow tie, which is quite similar in pronunciation in Russian. Yeah, so it's actually about Russian language. It's about Russian lexicology. Right, so that would be lovely, guys. Those who studies German, if you just make a comparative analysis, lexicological comparative analysis, and probably make it in a form of a PPT presentation, and let's say talk about borrowings from German, or not even borrowings, but native elements that are similar to German. Yeah, why not to make a research, kind of research. There's also similarity between Swedish and German, the same words for neck, hals, and dog. Okay, yeah, Swedish. I've never looked at Swedish language. Yeah, native element is quite old, right? So that's the reason it is called old language. So really, if you read the Beowulf, you wouldn't understand. Even when reading Shakespeare, it can be a bit challenging for you to understand, because the native element, I think, prevails there in comparison with like the borrowing element. Okay, now the borrowing, that very says the borrowing element, the borrowed element actually has many groups, as you may see in here, 9 or even more. It is according to Russian scholars, but how they in his book the 4 elements, but I just leaned on the Russian scholar, so I'm sorry for it. We have already read Beowulf. Oh God, really? Oh my God, really? Oh, it's so difficult to read. Who was the lecturer or professor who tortured you with Beowulf? Oh my God, she is crazy. But she's a Layla teacher. Uh-huh. Layla. Yeah. But I think you, oh, my Dina teacher also. But I think you enjoyed analyzing Beowulf. Yeah. I have never looked at Beowulf, but I think it's too difficult for me. I'm not into the stylistics of Old English. Yeah, but it's interesting. Sure, yeah, it is interesting. Actually, during preparing the lecture, I was reading Halliday's book, and that was funny. Halliday mentioned there is no like he was not saying it directly, but he was implying that there is no, let's say, essence, there is no value of, we didn't read it in all the book. It would be him. Oh, right. It was a, not a who, but we read it translated to Okay, so you read the translated one. I thought you read the original one. Okay, anyways. So Halliday mentioned, let's say, implied that there is no value of doing etymological analysis for some reason, but yet he said, he wrote, let's say, that it is very interesting. That's the reason why lexicology, why etymology is so popular among linguists, just because it's a lot of fun. But he implies that there is no value in terms of the language development. So history of language, the history of lexis is not much valuable for some scholars. I don't know why, but yeah, that would be lovely if you tell me what you think about it yourselves, all right? So, okay, so the first borrowing element is from the Celtic language, right? Irish Celtic. I hope you know what is Celtic, and we have borrowings. We divide them into 3 groups in here, but actually there are even more groups. Some scholars divided into several groups for 3. Now we will discuss it a bit wider in the next slides. So the first group of Latin borrowings, it was before century. The ages, sorry, the years are not specified, but it was before century, before the Christ has passed away, right? Yeah, and was born, yeah. And the second group, it was the the year 7, yeah, of this very century. I can't remember, bizim zamanımızdan bırak, bizim zamanımız, yeah. 7th year of bizim zamanımız, or nasze ery, if I'm not mistaken. And the third group is the Renaissance period. I don't remember the period of Renaissance, to be honest. I'm very bad for numbers, but if that would be lovely if you just remind me. I guess it was something after 16th, 17th century, yeah, or not? I'm not a good at history, to be honest. So Renaissance actually a lot of influence in terms of the vocabulary of art, of juridical or social systems and all that stuff. I just love the period of Renaissance because people became smarter, they became more intelligent, and it of course influenced the language, not only art and other spheres of our lives. Okay, and then Scandinavian. Yeah, we talked about, the video was discussing about how Swedish language also made some remarks on English, right? And Norman borrowings, Laura mentioned, yeah, about Norman borrowings, about French Parisian borrowings, yeah, from the Renaissance. It's very interesting that French people, they just came in, they invaded England and started, let's say, invading the language as well. That is quite harsh, in my opinion. I don't know how you might think. All right, and then Greek, of course. Greece back then was a great empire. It made a lot of influence. Even in Kazakh, we have so many Greek words that we probably do not know about. For instance, the word Pelsapa. Have you ever heard the word Pelsapa? Yeah.
Like Harry Potter and philosophical stone in Kazakh.
Yeah. So Pelsapa is philosophy, right? So actually, Pelsapa is a word that came from Arab. Yeah, philosophy, absolutely. But it is like an phonetically assimilated word that originally entered from a Greek language like philosophy, philosophia. Somehow it entered Kazakh through Arabic, and nowadays we call it falsafa, not philosophia, as Russians call it, right? Or the word cult, yeah, normal cult, like peace. Did you know about cult? Is a Greek word as well. Yeah. So in Russian it's kluch, in Kazakh it's kult, and you might find that they sound very similar, but in Greece, in Greek language, it is called kleidos. So somehow nowadays we call it kult. Actually, you can just have a look at it. This is the same thing with English. There are so many Greek words that we do not even know. We will be doing analysis and you will just have a look at it. Of course, I do not know all the Greek words, but when I hear the Greek tingi, dingi, yeah, it's from Turkic, Turkic to Russian, absolutely. And very interesting thing that usually Greek is in my head, the Greek borrowings are always associated with science, with biology for me, with medicine, right? Yeah. Okay, and Italian words as well. Italian actually a lot Latin, but like a modern Latin. Anyone who's studying, who's learning Italian in here? No? No, okay. Italian is actually, if you listen to Italian speech, you will understand it. You will somehow understand it because it's such a nice, such a similar phonetic to English. So it's quite similar. Spanish, or sorry, Italian and English has so much in common. The same with Spanish. From Spanish, it's mainly the borrowings are mainly grammatical or direct translation. German, oh God, German is the core of English. As well, we have Indian, we have Arabic, we have even Turkic. Some cultures again. So actually, we're tightly connected with each other, and there's many grammatical structures still. 9, 10, 11, 12 languages, especially Arabic, is a very widespread thing that Arabic words. Is she liking? Yeah, I guess I'm liking, right? Because the internet is quite boring. Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, is that okay now? Nope, nope, you can't hear me. Right. So, anyways, so yeah, we have so many languages that contributed to the development of English word stock. Okay, I hope now it's all fine. All right, so as I have mentioned before in the quite beginning of the lecture, Latin is most influential language among all the languages contributed to the development of English vocabulary. And we have subgroups of Latin loans. Previously, it was like we highlighted 3 periods, right, in the previous slide, but I decided to add the 4th one. It is the latest statum of Latin words. They are more about like the modern English oriented words. But okay, let's talk about the early Latin loans. In early Latin loans, there is a kind of a history behind of it. So you can actually find out that these words, they came from the actually came from the Saxon tribes, but those tribes primarily were in contact with Roman civilization, and they adopted some words, several Latin words, especially the words that denoting objects. Yeah. And those objects usually they were belonging to the period before Anglo-Saxons and Jutes entered Britain. So actually the words as carp, kitchen, yeah, mill, port, wine, they all are the words that came from Latin, but through, let's say, Anglo-Saxons and through somehow some kind of historical events that happened on the territory of England and on the territory of British Islands. Okay, and the second subgroup is a later Latin borrowings. It's all about these are the words which penetrated the English vocabulary in 7th century, and they are, yeah, religion, absolutely, Ayran, religion. So they are quite religious words mainly. But why? Because British people, the British dwellers, inhabitants, they were converted to Christianity through Romance, yeah, through Christianity, yeah, through Romance, and that is the reason they they had got such words as priest, bishop, nun, candle, and all that stuff. We usually find those words in Christianity, in the context of Christianity mainly, right? And the third one is, as Laura has mentioned right in the very beginning, this is the period, that period of Latin includes two historical periods, not periods, events, let's say. The first is the Norman conquest that happened in 1066, if I'm not mistaken, right? And the second one is a Renaissance, and as we call it, revival of learning. Yeah, right. And some words came into English through French, but let's say through French. So French was like a bridge between Latin and German, but some were taken from Latin directly, right? So they are words like major, minor, intelligent, permanent, and all that stuff. And the latest stratum of Latin words, this is the period of scientific development. Mainly they are words of abstract definition. They are words like nylon, molecular, vaccine, phenomenon, vacuum, and all that stuff that you can find so many of them. Yeah. Okay. I think, yeah, we have the Norman French borrowings, but I think that would be lovely if we continue talking after the 10-minute break. Okay, yeah. Right. Have a lovely 10-minute break, guys. Okay, hope you are all here. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's talk about Norman French borrowings. First of all, we have early loans or early borrowed words that came from Norman and French languages, let's say. The first one, it was 12th, 15th century, and those are the quite simple and short words. They were, let's say, assimilated to the English language system with English patterns. We all know them. They are mainly about, it's not about like everyday words. They're mainly about words for representing power, state, and rulership. Yeah, as you may say, and they are state, power, war, pen, river. So as you may see, they are in the meaning of land, in the meaning of like political system and all that stuff. And then we have the second element, later loans, like they started entering the English language beginning from the 16th century, and they are identified by the peculiarities of form and pronunciation. And we call regime, police, ballet, scene, bourgeois. They are not fully assimilated as the previous ones. That's the reason it is quite easy for us to identify that they are the borrowed elements of English vocabulary. So now again, I would like to talk about Latin. Actually, both Latin and Greek are called classical heritage. It's like everything connected with Latin and Greek called classic, right? Even in interior, even in style, the classic literature, the classic design, as we call it, especially when we are projecting our homes, our flats. When we refer to interior designers, they say, okay, would you prefer classic or any kind of modern loft styles, right? Yeah, as you probably know. Actually, Latin is quite widespread. You can find Latin words everywhere in every language. Even in Kazakh, both Latin and Greek are quite popular, let's say. They have entered into our language as well, even though we are in terms of territory, we are quite distant from them, right? So as you may remember, the word etc. or etc. etc, right? Remember, from the Greek one, it means and the rest. It's like тағы да басқалар, тағы да сол сияқты, и так далее, и тому подобное. The same thing, but English people prefer to use the Latin, shortening the Latin abbreviation for some reason. Okay, and e.g. or exemple gratia, this is for the sake of example, it's like a translation. And AM/PM, oh, beautiful AM/PM, the thing that I really hate in British tradition, that they call everything, call the hours with AM/PM thing. I am still confused with them, to be honest. Once I wanted, when I was studying and I had to do the project with my fellow students at Lancaster, I had to book a study space at the library, and I made a mistake, a huge mistake. So instead of booking the space for 5 p.m., I booked it for 5 a.m. So when we arrived there, we found out that the library space was already occupied by others, and we were like very furious. And my English friend said, okay, many international students are struggling with AM/PM. Thanks God we do not have AM/PM, to be honest. Even students at British schools and universities, the new ones, like international ones, they get distracted by AM/PM. It's not distracted, let's say confused. It's the wrong word for the distracted one. Yeah, they a lot confused with AM/PM thing. So actually it also came from Latin, ante meridiem, post meridiem is like after the before afternoon, after the afternoon, something like this, right? Yeah, and the Greek and Latin elements are so much widespread in like scientific stuff, right? We have Greek and Latin elements everywhere in measurements, in calculation, in scientific names, in concepts. For instance, the words globalization, privatization, social security, or let's say not trade. I forgot one word that is so much Latin. Oh God. Okay, I will try to remember it. Yeah. Also from Latin, the words that you never know that they are from Latin, or Greek, they are from Latin and Greek for some reason. Everything, as English people or Russian people say, that all the ways are start from Rome, or no, go lead to Rome. So everything comes from Rome and everything goes to Rome, yeah? And calculation and measurement, kilogram, centimeter, quadrillion, million, billion, and all that stuff, all from Greek, Latin languages. So do remember about it. Now let's talk about adaptation, about assimilation. Yeah, what do you think about those words? What do they mean to you? What is assimilation for you, guys? Any ideas? Any thoughts?
Assimilation means like when the word comes from another language to the another one, it starts to assimilate to its peculiarities and elements.
Okay. Anyone who could give us a definition to the word
Transformation of
assimilate?
some letters from some letters of words from borrowed to another language.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So assimilation is like the process of changing, process of adapting into something. This is like a general term, assimilation, right? And in the language, is it the process of changing or adapting of the adopted words? So the words that were adopted, adapting to the dominant one. Yeah, somehow, yeah. So they are adapting or changing according to the patterns of the receiving language. So for instance, the word, let's say the word, okay, we'll have a look at the things. So for instance, the Kazakh one, yeah, Falsafa, it actually it was a word philosophia, right, from Greek, but somehow it it just assimilated phonetically and probably grammatically into when it came to Kazakh. So nowadays we don't say philosophia in Kazakh, we say falsafa, but it sounds very different, right? But it came from directly from the original language, from the Greek language, or the one that Ayajan took as an example, dengi, tenge, yeah, the same thing. The word dengi entered from Turkic languages, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, from Tatar, and it just became dengi because it's more convenient for the speakers to pronounce it as dengi rather than saying tinga. Yep. Okay. Oh God, I don't see who's talking now. Oh, that's lovely. Right, so this is like this. So we have actually different types of assimilation. So one of them is a phonetic assimilation, when the words are, it's like a phonetic assimilation comprises changes in sound, changes in stress, changes in the forms of the sounds, and etc., etc. So, for instance, some sounds are quite, the word, for instance, communique, I don't know how it is pronounced in French, guys. Anyone who know how to read it?
Unique.
Communique, right? So there must be some kind of a like a thing that some kind of a sound that were alien to the speakers of English back then. So, and they kind of made a system that helped them to fit those words into the phonetic system of the receiving language, to be precise, English. So the word communique and cafe, I don't know how it is pronounced, the same in French. Sorry, I'm not very good at French. So the long E, communique, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, and E, they were rendered with the help of the sound I. So everything is a bit different in English, just because English speakers could not pronounce it properly originally, yeah, as well as with tenge. Probably the Russian people still, they say tenge instead of tenge. I have no idea why, yeah, or it is more convenient for them to say dengi, tenge, so some kind of instead of ye. I have no idea why. Right. So actually, the degree of phonetic adaptation depend on the period of borrowing. So the earlier the period, the more complicated the adaptation. Yeah, the earliest, the more actually remind table words as played. They were borrowed from French, if I'm not mistaken, in 8th or 11th before and 11th, they in Hello, can you hear me? Yes, you can hear me? Okay. Can't hear anything actually. Yeah. Yes, no connection, I guess. I guess there was no connection. So the earlier the period of borrowing, the more complicated and the more different the adaptation and assimilation. So what is the word in French for table? Is it table or something like this? Anyone
Table.
who's studying? Table, okay. Table or table. As you may see, the phonetic difference is so different. Yeah, it's so complicated. Yeah, but the later borrowings, the Parisian borrowings that happened in 15th century, is the words in that very period is different. We still pronounce the word regime as regime, café, valet, or how it is called in French manner. I think regime is also regime in French, right? Regime.
Regime.
Also, regime, yeah. So
R is
regime
pronounced
or
as
regime.
R.
Oh God, that's so difficult. Regime, is it correct?
Yeah,
Is it
regime.
like R and R?
Yes, yes.
Regime. Yeah, of course, this very sound is it difficult. Not a lot difficult for English people, so they just call it regime through R, yeah. But it still sounds a lot French, yeah. As for me, it's a lot French. Or genre, or ballet. They are so not German. They're so French. They are not that much assimilated because they are freshly borrowed. The fresher the borrowed word, the less adapted into the language it is, right? And yeah, grammatical adaptation is like a, let's call it a less lasting process. It's not lasting for long because in order to function adequately in the receiving language or recipient language, the word actually should change, should be completely changed as a paradigm, right? So for instance, we have actually so many interesting words that were grammatically adapted. I didn't provide like examples. I couldn't find them actually. I didn't do enough research, to be honest. My bad. But I provided exceptions of the plural forms. For instance, the one from the word datum that came from Latin, if I'm not mistaken, during the Renaissance period. It is like a data, and the data can be Latin, if I'm not mistaken, it's still singular only. Or criterion, I'm not sure, is it French or Latin? I think it's Latin one. Criterion, it's a criteria. So criteria can be both plural and singular, whereas in the original language, it is only singular. Yeah. Right. Barbarisms is a, wow, barbarism is a very, very interesting term. It's a very interesting borrowing thing. Barbarism is when it happens when the words that comes like say the words from the other languages, they are being used by English speaking people, and but they are not assimilated at all in any way. They are not assimilated at all. For instance, English, yeah, came from Italian, or the word bon appetit that came from French, and they are not assimilated at all. So anyhow, it's the same as bon appetit in French, right? Bon appetit, right? Does it
Yes,
sound like that?
right.
Yeah, so yeah. So both bon appetit and ciao, they are barbarisms. So barbarisms are the words that came from another language, but they were not assimilated, or they were not adapted. They did not experience any kind of changes anyhow, but they are still used as an English word somehow, and they are used both in conversation, in oral conversation, in written conversations. We still use ciao, we still use bon appetit. Yeah, Americans use actually have a good meal, have a good meal, or enjoy your meal, something like this. But in British Islands, they mostly use bon appetit still. I don't know why. Right. And yeah, international words. International words, they are the words that actually quite common to everyone, to every language. They're mainly names of sciences, mainly terms of arts, political terms like politics, policy, progress. We don't have progress in Kazakh, do we? I'm not sure. Damu, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, progress. Qarqanda Damu. Names of sciences, of course. Philosophy, falsafa. Somehow, physics, physica, chemistry, chemia, linguistics, linguistica. We still have them. They're not much assimilated, but still some have had that very experience of assimilation. And music, theater, drama, artist, comedy, they are actually in our languages. They are a bit phonetically assimilated, but they actually, these international words are from Latin and Greek, again, classical heritage. But still we are like pronouncing them in accordance of our language peculiarities, our own language peculiarities, linguistic peculiarities. And to be honest, nowadays, English is becoming a source for international words, especially in terms of sport. Probably you know about hockey, football, cricket, rugby, tennis, right? They're actually originally English words. So they are like English words. And at the same time, they are international words. So everywhere you go, you hear the word football, right? In both Kazakh and Russian, football is a football. Yeah, hockey, hockey. It's a bit assimilated, but still we have them. And the same with other, let's say, especially, let's say, technological vocabulary. For instance, we still use the word smart everywhere. Smart is like a native word for us nowadays, or we call telephone the same. We have it as a normal thing. Internet. What else? Data. We all have that, to be honest. We all have those international words that are are of the English origin. They are becoming so much popular, even though even that our president, remember, if our first president mentioned that we should not use our own native words like Halamtor or Awijai. We should just lean on words as internet and aeroport and smart and etc. Telephone, instead of making new words, because it is making the life of Kazakhstani people more difficult. Yeah. So we still have international words that are of English origin. They are sport, regarding sport, and regarding progress, let's say progress. I don't know how to call it. Technical progress, yeah, let's call it like that. Okay, and actually semantic adaptation. I wanted to talk about semantic adaptation in a different slide, to be honest, because as for me, semantic adaptation is a bit difficult to comprehend. For me, it was very difficult to comprehend back in my university. It's actually, semantic adaptation has so many forms. It may be a narrowing of meaning. It can be specialization or generalization of the meaning, or it can be acquiring a new meaning in the language that is receiving the word. It's like a shift of a primary meaning to the position of the secondary meaning. So it's all about meaning. When the meaning is being changed at the receiving language. So for instance, the bright example is a word large in English. But the scholars say that the word large in French means wide, not big. Is it true, guys? Hello, is it true? Does it really work?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Like the same with the word utilization, right? In English, to utilize means like to use, but in Russian, utilization means like выкидывать, throwing away, and all these things.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Wow, that's a quite nice example. Yeah, semantic adaptation in Russian for some reasons is a bit different. Yeah. So semantic adaptation is very interesting. I think for me it is very difficult, yet not difficult, challenging yet interesting. Okay, translation learns when it is when some kind of words or some kind of phrases are being translated into the receiving language, yeah, and is being used in the as a grammatically and syntactically as it was it is being used in the, let's say, host language, yeah, original language. Okay, so for instance, in Spanish, el momento de la verdad, the moment of truth, actually it is just the precise translation, yeah. Or if I'm not mistaken, vidi, vici, and blah, 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 I forgot, and the Latin one, the same, I forgot the phrase. Прийти, взять, завоевать, or something like this. I don't really remember.
Right? Veni, vidi, vici is like
absolutely, yeah. So what is the actually meaning of it? Can you please translate it, guys, if you remember? Nope, nope. Okay, right. Also, not. Oh, right.
but it's in Russian.
Yeah, absolutely Russian, and it's the same in English, by the way. Yeah, and yeah. So it's just it is just the process that translation learns. They got the process of translation. They undergo the process of translation, but the structure, grammatical structure, syntactical structure, semantic structure is being kept the same. Yeah. For instance, we have the word, the phrase "first dancer" in Russian or in English, and in Italian it is called prima ballerina. Yeah, prima, the first dancer. It is just the direct translation of the word. Of course, in Russian it is prima ballerina, the same thing, but English people decided just to translate it into their own language. Yeah. Or wonder child, wonder kid. Yeah. Wonder kid from German. So we have so many translation loans, and it's very quite interesting. Right, okay. So that is the table, quite big one, and probably you will not like it because it's so nerdy. I don't like such tables, but I had to put it to the presentation. Okay, I hope it will be helpful for you. So actually, borrowings are classified according to the degree of their assimilation. So there are some, let's say, as we call them, denizens, the words that are completely assimilated. They are assimilated so much that you will not be able to understand. Sometimes you will not be able to understand where it come from, what language it come from. As we discussed the word table, right? It was in French. It sounds very different in French, that or husband, table. And aliens, as we call them, aliens, the partially assimilated words. They are from mainly, here they are, right? I forgot. Yeah. Oh, right, here. Regime, police, ballet, scene, bourgeois. They are somehow partly assimilated. We call them aliens. Unassimilated words, absolutely unassimilated. They sound the same. They sound absolutely the same as they sound in original language. Coop, Tietat, Eureka, what else? Ciao, the same ciao or bon appetit and all that stuff. So, and the partially assimilated, let's say, aliens are subdivided to these subgroups, let's say, not assimilated phonetically as boulevard, bourgeois, not assimilated graphically in terms of they are orthography, like cliché, naive, not assimilated grammatically, crisis, genius, genie, it's like something like this, and not assimilated semantically. So sherbet, Torada, we still have them, yeah, or Han, English people still use the word Han instead of saying king is king, yeah, when they refer to Genghis Khan, they still say Genghis Khan, or Pasha, or curry, yeah, curry. They all have like not semantically, not assimilated words that semantic, not assimilated words, semantics, not semantically assimilated words, sorry. And they are mainly the words, the culture specific words, the words that are so much specific, so much characteristic to the cultures, to different cultures, that you can't translate it, you can't really make it. Could you explain a bit about semantical change? Okay, you can't really anyhow change it in terms of phonetics. Okay, semantical adaptation or semantical change, assimilation. So it's when there is a word from the original language, yeah, and it changes in terms of meaning. So semantics is about meaning. Do not forget about it, okay? Right. When something is changing semantically, it may change the meaning, it may change the connotation, it may change the let's say, not only meaning, I would say, but the context of the usage even. So the word large in French means wide, yeah, but in English, the recipient language, it means big or huge. So it entered English, the word large, but it changed its meaning. So it's all about semantic adaptation. Yeah. Okay, is that clear enough about semantic adaptation? Okay, right, Marsha? Yep. Great. Yep. And we have some kind of etymological doublets. Some kind of a words that are, let's say, that are being mixed up with each other. They are from different languages and they are being somehow interchanging each other, interconnected to each other, but still they are existing as different words. Yeah. So, for instance, here we are having. Oh, let me find it. Yeah. So actually, let's say, let me explain you morphologically. The word shirt and the word skirt, they have the same root. But the word shirt is a native word, whereas the word skirt, it's a borrowing word. It came from Scandinavian language. But for some reason, it has one root. So phonemic shape is different, but the graphic the graphic feature is quite the same, and some linguists guess that probably the phonetic shape, sorry, not phonetic, both phonetic and graphic similarities of these two words that are from different sources, one from English, second from Scandinavian, that may reflect that they of a common origin, that comes to the understanding that we had some kind of a proto-language that had those words. And begging your pardon. And just because some people could not pronounce some sounds in that very way, in the way that proto-language wanted it to be sounded, they started pronouncing it differently, and they divided into different languages, right? Okay, and the interesting thing that both shirt and skirt, they are they both denote to the content or context of clothing. So it's all about clothing. Yeah. So that is the kind of logical conclusion of scholars, of linguists, that these two words, they are originating from the same etymological source somehow, but they are different in phonetic and in morphological shape, and that's the reason they are called etymological duplets, when the words can be maybe, yeah, hypothetically are from the one source, but they may mean different things. They have different shapes, different sounds, and different morphological features. That is about etymological duplets. Yeah, sorry. Well, and when the two borrowed words are from different languages, for instance, canal from Latin and channel from French, captain from Latin, chieftain from French, and they have, let's say, they actually mean the same thing, right? But they are from two different languages somehow. They were borrowed in a different pattern, let's say, in different periods. For instance, the word canal entered directly from Latin, and the word channel probably came to French from Latin, and then again it entered English. So again, French is like a bridge. But for some reasons, both words entered the vocabulary of English. That's the phenomenon that exists in the lexicology, in the etymology of English language. And right, and an interesting thing that there can be two borrowed words from the same language as well. For instance, the word travel or travail, or cavalry, they are both from one language, but from the different periods. Yeah. So if the word travel from Normandic period of French borrowing, the travail or travail, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's from the Parisian period of French borrowings. Yeah, as you may see, we call them not only etymological duplets but etymological hybrids. Yeah, you can have a look at it somehow and you can try to analyze some English words at home yourselves. Okay, so actually this was the last thing that I wanted to tell you about. This is all about English etymology. You can look this this thing. What I presented to you was mainly about modern English. Of course, you can have a look at the comparative analysis of Old English and Modern English, but I think that would be a bit out of topic. So the course itself is looking at the Modern English, not the Old English. It's nothing about comparison. But if you would like to make some research in terms of comparison of two periods of the language, please, you are all welcome. But I would like to highlight that I'm not a specialist in Old English. So when you do your projects on comparative analysis, please do some kind of explanation with the per reference. Okay, that would be lovely. Right, guys, if you have any kind of questions, that would be lovely if you ask them now. Okay, you don't have any questions? Nope, at all? Right, then I have questions to you guys. So I have a question. How do you think? No, you don't have a question. How do you think, guys? What are the main reasons? What are the main causes of borrowed words? Why they why they entered the language, the English language? Why English people started borrowing words?
Because the people who, for example, came, let's say, them their own words and they started to
Okay,
speak.
Marjan, can you please repeat, because your speech is a bit, let's call it, it's not consistent. I think it's because of the network problems.
Okay, I said that people who came, for example, to America, they bring with them their words, own words. Then they started speak like with their own words, and it's like widely shared in America, and they are also started to speak.
Okay, so
Maybe because of
some
trade
things as migration, maybe.
Maybe
migration.
cultural contact between two communities that speak different languages.
Okay, thank you,
Really
girls.
complex question because everything depends on history, geography, and
Yeah,
facts.
absolutely. So because of cultural contact between two or more communities. Okay, so yeah, absolutely, guys. So it's mainly depending on historical events and geographical, let's say, not geographical, but geopolitical issues, I guess.
Maybe also colonization.
Absolutely. Colonization also made a lot of influence in English language, right? Especially when French people invaded British Islands. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. These are all historical events. These are all about politics, all about power, about rulership and all that stuff. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, that's the question that I always ask you guys, but still I would like to repeat it. How many words of the English vocabulary are borrowed?
17%
17%.
from German.
70%.
70%. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Right. So how many groups and what kind of groups of borrowed words can you distinguish according to the degree of assimilation?
3 main groups, probably.
Again, please. How many groups?
3 main groups.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you properly.
Three, like completely.
Two elements, maybe native element and the borrowed, or
So yeah, you're talking about the elements of the vocabulary, right? So, but the question is about how many groups of the borrowed words can you guys distinguish according to the degree of their assimilation?
Three main groups, and then it can be subdivided.
Yeah, okay, well done. Thank you. Now I can hear you, Laura. Three main groups: denizens, aliens, and barbarisms. Yeah, you can remember them. Okie dokie. Right.
Sorry,
That.
Professor, can I ask you the question?
Uh-huh.
It's about etymological doublets. So etymological doublets, this is like the words that have that came from different languages, right? They came from two different languages, but they have the same source. I mean, the same root.
Uh-huh.
Did I understand it? Like, is it right?
Okay. So actually, etymological doublets can be, it's like duplicat, right? Doublets, duplicat, hybrid, yeah, as we translated into Russian. It can be source can be both from different languages, as it happens in the first two situations, yeah, or it can be from one language, but from the two different eras of a language, right? Got it? Yeah. For instance, we have like synonyms, right? We have so many synonyms, both in Kazakh and English, and especially in English. And those synonyms usually have the same meaning, as you may know. And some words can be of a native ground and the others of a borrowed ground. Yeah. It's the same as with Russian, the utilization that you mentioned. Утилизировать, if I'm not mistaken, it's a get rid of something, right? So in Russian, it's like in native Russian, это будет избавляться от чего-либо, and as a borrowed word will be утилизировать. So it's something like this in the first situation that you see on the slide. The second one, that words came from two different languages. The first one, canal. So one word, it has one meaning. Both canal and channel are of one meaning. They are synonyms, and those synonyms came from two different languages. Yeah. And the third one, the third situation, when two words, two synonyms came from the same language, but in different periods of time. So, for instance, the word travel, it came from Norman French, and travail from Parisian French. So, travail is a fresher synonym, and travel is like an older synonym, but they both exist in English, the language that received those words. Yeah? Is it more clear now?
Yep. Okay, I got.
Okay, great.
Fisher, are you going to share with a presentation on Moodle?
Yep, I will post both the link for the lecture and the presentation as well.
Okay. And to the seminar classes, what are you going to give as an assignment?
Okay, as an assignment, for those whom I didn't give any assignments, right, that would be lovely. Actually, we will be having an activities that we will be discussing at our seminars, but are you having them today or tomorrow, guys? Anyone who is joining the seminar today?
today at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, okay. Right. I don't know how you're going to make it, but I wanted to just go a research project, but I think you don't have much time, right? Okay, so for seminar, I will just provide you with questions, right? I will ask you some questions. That would be lovely. If you just read the art, read the presentation, that would be enough. And then, according to your, let's say, oral answers, we will be doing some activities. So we will be analyzing the words and their origin. Yeah, are you okay with it? So it's not going to be prepared thing.
Okay, thank you.
In-time activities. Yeah, so please, we are going to do some in-time activities. So be prepared to remember all the information for tomorrow's lecture as well. So tomorrow there is no lecture at all. Oh, a seminar. For tomorrow's, yeah, the same thing for tomorrow. The same thing for the whole week. So actually, we are not yet on the level of making linguistic analysis. Yeah. So probably we will be doing just an oral thing for the beginning. After you gain a lot of knowledge, a lot of background knowledge, we will start doing active seminars. Is that okay?
Bye.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, great. So see you on seminars.
Teacher,
Please just
sorry,
be prepared. Mm-hmm.
I have a question and a little bit suggestion.
Yeah.
For example, for the students who have seminars today at 3, we'll also have other lessons today. For example, till 3 we have a lot of lessons. And I think we will not be able to open this presentation and to be prepared for all these kind of questions. Of course, we listened to the lecture, but we had, for example, I personally had some troubles with internet, so it was lagging, it was freezing, I couldn't see presentations at some times. So I think it would be hard for me to be prepared at 3 o'clock. So how can we manage it?
Actually, that is the thing that I do not know how to manage it. I will, you know what, we will discuss it at the seminar because I have to run for the next seminar. Okay, do not worry. I'm not going to torture you with anything. I will just okay, we will just discuss it then. Yeah, discuss
Okay.
what you remember from the lecture as we did it at the previous lesson. Okay, so what was the question here? Hello, sorry, can I come to ask you something? I have a seminar at 12 today. Can I come to ask you something? Yeah, you can come to ask me at the seminar. Yeah. Okay, guys, so I have to run for the seminar.
Bye.
Bye bye and see you on
Thank you.
seminars.
Have a nice lesson.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Take care. Kalmış kalay.